way, I forgot to tell you yesterday that, wow, I love that bookshelf. Impressive.
It's actually it's one of four that we have kind of scattered through the house.
Yeah.
That used to be built in my grandfather's study,
Oh,
and
wow.
it's a really nice bookcase. So we just appropriated it.
Nice, nice. I'm trying to just.
I inherited it, I guess. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, they look more like, you don't have too many picture books in there, right? At least in that bookshelf doesn't look like.
Well, that isn't the picture book bookcase.
That's
The
not
picture
the
book
book. I
bookcase is
can
over.
tell.
I have more than one bookcase for my children's books.
Nice. Hey, you
Yeah.
know what?
That one has the novels, and at the bottom there's some nonfiction, both picture books and regular books.
Nice.
So yeah.
Nice. So I got an idea. I'm gonna write it because I don't want to forget these. So maybe either by the end we finish the interview, you can either suggest us like maybe 4 titles to read. And of course, one of the titles being your book. Do you have your book so you can show it to us?
Oh, okay. I can grab it.
Yeah, grab it. Grab it. Hello, Deborah, Emma, Kimberly. There's people coming on already. That's exciting. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's nice. So we'll use it like a piece of advertising. So we will advertise your book. So that's nice. So where the book is selling in Amazon, right?
Right.
Your book. Yeah.
It's available. You can order it through a bookstore. It's out on the marketplace.
Nice.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So this is part 2 with Harold Underdown, and we're all listening to you.
Thank you. So last time we had got to the point of talking about self-publishing, and I want to just carry on that thought a little bit now, before we move on, and just to add to my comment about the need to set yourself up as a publisher if you're self-publishing. One of the points that I often make about publishing is that what happened with the rise of the ebook market and that whole possibility that hadn't existed before for self-publishers was a kind of gold rush situation. And like the gold rush, a lot of people looked at the news and said, oh my gosh, here's somebody making a lot of money. And they rushed into it. The problem is, in a gold rush, the people who are there first tend to be the ones who get the best opportunities. And after a while, it becomes more and more crowded because more and more people have rushed out to California or rushed into ebooks, as the case may be. And you get a situation where the people who are making the money are the people who are selling the shovels and the picks and the jeans, right? One of the most famous American clothing companies got its start making work clothes for the gold rush people. And it's the same thing with ebooks and the whole self-publishing ecosystem. The people who are really making the money are the people providing the services and, you know, all the kind of tools and other things that people need who are doing that. So if you want to go into self-publishing, it's great. I know people who've done it successfully, but you really have to do your due diligence, do your research, figure out how it works, buy the picks, buy the shovels, but also find out where the gold fields are and how to get there. And one of the things, and we were just talking about this a couple of minutes ago, is the importance of getting distribution. If all you want to do is put a book up on Amazon, that's really easy. No one's going to find it unless you do your marketing. So just putting a book up is really not enough. And distribution, which is what publishers have, is the ability to get physical books out around the country to the places where people will buy them in person. And that's still an important market. And if you're self-publishing and you really want to reach a national market rather than a limited market. And sometimes a limited market is the best option for you. But if you want to reach a national market, you've got to solve the problem of distribution. So it all, it all comes back to learning what a publisher does and actually finding a way to do that yourself.
Yeah, I think that you hit the jackpot right there. In every business, there's a sweet spot. And the sweet spot in this business is the printer, because in my opinion, he's the very first one in the chain that he gets the money. No money,
Right.
you cannot publish, you cannot print the book. We're talking about physically, not the online book. And even the online book, the first one who gets the money is the platform you're going to use.
So this is actually making me a little curious about your market, Yvette. In Brazil, where are you selling your books? Is it a big bookstore market or a school market, or what's your primary market for your books?
Both. Our publisher business is focused on children's literacy. We have institutions, and we have bookstores. And what we do is we also have an online. So we build a store online so people can buy them. And basically, I would say that, we are just, right now, it has been always difficult, but right now it's much more difficult here in Brazil because talking about quantity of readers, when you talk about Europe, when you talk about US has high amount of readers, demographic-wise. And Brazil is much more, I would say, cultural, is an entertainment. They look at entertainment more than education in terms of reading. So a show will sell and will sold out. And, a book launch not necessarily will sold out and not necessarily would be successful.
Book launches are a big challenge in the US as well.
I can
There's a lot of jokes about doing a book launch and 3 people show up. So maybe that's not unique to your situation.
Oh, I feel better. I feel better. but the thing is that the whole logistic, you're right. It's not only to do the book launch, but it's actually, you have to knock at different doors. And, I believe that if a door closed, you have a window or you have a roof, or you have to find out the back end door. So you can bring solutions to the table, and this is going to be the secret. It doesn't matter if you're big, medium, or small. Right now, it's challenging for everybody, this whole situation. And basically, we don't know if the schools are going to order books in the second semester. That's a reality. We missed the first semester.
Right.
We had some books that they were waiting sales because the school was going to adopt the book and the children were going to read the books, and we lost that semester. So we're hoping that the second semester will come up and, schools will tell us, okay, we're ready to do the purchasing, and, the book is going to actually be part of the curriculum. I don't have questions yet. Answers. I have a lot of questions, but I don't have answers.
It's interesting. There's a similar situation in the United States. We don't know what's going to happen to school budgets, and
that's correct.
I think we worry that a lot of local budgets are going to end up being drastically cut, and that's going to affect schools and their budgets as well. And I'm seeing a question in the chat.
Oh, great.
Oh, interesting. Emma asks, are books returnable in Brazil? Returnables business, which of course is the setup in the US. The bookstores can return books.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Our business is more challenging. Is that the same setup for you with your bookstores?
It has been much more easier. In terms of an end customer, if you're going to purchase a book, it has been much more easier to, return the book. In terms of the publishing, you have the books only for a certain amount of time. in the bookstores, and then because they have the launch, like US, they have launches and launches, you know, they have new books and new books coming. They cannot hold your books forever. So they have a time period. Then they give you back, like let's say you send 100 books of one title and they pass like 2 months and you sold only 10 books. Then they will only keep 5 books and then the rest they go back to you. So you get.
So it's returnable, same
It's
thing as in the
returnable.
US.
Yeah, yeah. And in terms of when you buy a book, it used to be very difficult to return things, not just books, but anything that you would buy.
Oh, as a consumer.
As a consumer, yeah, yeah. And now it's becoming a little bit more, you know, easier, but always with the proof of the receipt. So if you don't have a proof of receipt, you are stuck with the product. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And then what we're doing here is, you know, I'm not sure how it works Barnes and Noble. I'm not sure how it works Books a Million, the big retail channels. But here, you know, I'm sure that some of you heard that a lot of the book retail channels, they went belly up. They just had huge, huge, how you say this word, debt, and they couldn't continue their business. They closed down. We used to have a bookstore that was a French, actually, bookstore, which is called FNAC, F-N-A-C. And all the stores, they just closed down, just like from one day to another. They were huge, and they still are in Europe, you know. But the thing
And
is that,
with this closure, was this just this year in response to the pandemic, or
no,
is this
no,
more...
that we have been carrying on a lot of luggage from the last 3 years.
Oh,
I would
okay.
say
So,
5 years ago was good. The last 3 years, it has been a roller coaster. So
it's
yeah,
in a difficult situation already.
yeah, and now it makes it worse. So yeah, so basically, we don't know if we're gonna continue. I'm talking about, you know, Mercado Libros, which is the name of the publishing here in Brazil. We don't know if we're gonna continue in that mainstream and, you know, having bookstores selling our books. We are thinking seriously about new thoughts about that.
Your strategy.
Yeah. So great. So let's go to the next one. So we were talking about pricing. You were saying something about that the novel, even though it's the same amount of pages with a nice soft cover or hard cover, you know, there's a
One of
range
the
of pricing.
the interesting challenges for children's publishers are that people are not willing to pay as much for a book for children as they are for a book for adults. And the prices for hardcover novels and hardcover picture books, there's a very narrow range that publishers feel they need to be in order not to scare people away with the prices. I mean, you do see, and I noticed this every year, books by big name authors can charge more. We certainly saw that, for example, with the later Harry Potter books. The initial ones, they were very carefully kept. The hardcovers were initially kept under $20. And then as they got bigger and longer, then they went over $20, and that was okay because people wanted them. But, you know, you stand or children's picture book, it's still, you know, $17, $18. You can't go over 20, even though adult novels will be $25.
That's interesting. I was thinking here to do a comparison and contrast analysis. And so in US, I know that you have the price of the book at the back, where is the ISBN. You can actually see the price of the book. In Brazil, we don't have that. So, you know, we don't print the value of the book. So every year is up to the publishing company if they want to raise the price. And, you know, the thought of that to me is crazy because I can just not imagine reticketing, you know, the book again and again and again. It's just insane, you know. But a lot of publishers, they actually have an increment on the price of the book per year because the paper cost also changes and fluctuates. And I'm not sure about if in US, I'm sure that that happens, that the paper cost of the book stays in the same cost.
The US, yeah, you do see prices change. And even though the price is printed on the book, and it may also be on the inside flap at the top corner, the inside flap. Publishers will decide when they go to a reprint, oh, we need to raise the price, the list price.
Okay.
We need to raise the list price by $1, $2.
Okay.
So and then they will do that. They'll print that on the book. So the prices do change.
Oh, that's a good
thing. Yeah.
Okay,
the idea that the price is kind of built into the system, and authors get their royalties on the basis of the list price, even if the book didn't actually sell for the list price. Because nowadays with Amazon and a lot of bookstore chains in particular have introduced the idea as well. Amazon routinely discounts all new hardcovers, and people kind of get used to that. But the royalties are still paid on the list price.
Okay, on the list price. That's interesting. I heard that before, and I was surprised. So the authors in United States and the illustrators, they get paid by the list price.
From most trade publishers. I worked back in the day when I was working for Charles Bridge. I think they've changed this now, but they paid on net price, and a lot of smaller and educational publishers also do that. So the royalties would then be paid on the basis of the actual income to the publisher.
Okay.
But your trade houses, your Penguin Random House and your Candlewick and your Chronicle, they're paying their royalties on the basis of list price.
On the basis that it has been sold. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They pay the list price. Yeah. And just to read a comment here from Emma.
Yeah.
Different channels by arrangement with the publisher can put a sticker of an ISBN with their own price on it. Right. Thank you. And thus a reserve for returns. Yeah.
That's true.
So that's a little aspect of our contract.
That's true. That's true. So let's see, talking about the following questions that we have here. One of them is, how are the channels of distribution going to be impacted? So we were talking about channels of distribution. So that's going to be impacted too, right?
By the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, we're definitely but at least so far, from what I can tell, you know, books are being printed again. There was a slowdown in China for a little while, but they're being printed. They're being shipped across the ocean. They're being shipped in trucks across the US. So at least at this point, it looks to me, from what I can read, that distribution is happening.
Okay, that's good news too. Yeah, that's great. Obviously, there's a huge delay because the first quarter and the second one, all those new books, they didn't have a chance to be well promoted, right? They skipped all that promotion in the stores. So, you know, they're gone.
Well, right. At that part of the process is a different story. That the books that were released this spring, some people were very creative about how they promoted them. Yeah. And the larger publishers in particular, I think, found ways to do online promotion.
Yeah.
But yeah, books that were released, they faced a difficult environment for that.
Yeah, we were talking before we set up this interview. I remember talking to you about an idea that I had. You know, we have some titles coming up, and we were thinking, oh, what do we do? Do we go, you know, ebook? Do we promote it? But then we considered, and we said, no, let's just have patience and let's not go that way. but it's difficult, choices, because you never know what is going to be the return. So sometimes it's better that, you do something and then you discover what is the end result. In our case, we're like turtles. We move very slowly and we just have been, we prefer that way than, move like a crab. We don't want to move like a crab. We don't want to walk like a crab. So anyway, the next one would be, given the tariffs, imports from China that we're having, obviously coming, from China, what is exactly you think is going to happen with shaping the future production and pricing decisions? Because that hasn't been implemented on books yet, right?
Right. And that was a big before the pandemic hit. We were talking about, what's going to happen with the tariffs, which
Yes.
had been postponed. And I think we're just going to have to follow the news. Again, this is one of those things that I'm following in Publishers Weekly. Last year, there was a good bit of talk about publishers looking for other options for their printing. And as I'm sure you know,
Yeah.
a lot of American publishers do most, if not all, of their picture book printing in China because of the costs. And they were already looking into other options. The problem is, you've got existing contracts, you've got existing relationships, and there may not even be the capacity in other parts of the world to just pull all your business out of China and take it somewhere else. So I know that people are looking into this. They're looking into other countries and other printers and other options, but it's not going to change overnight.
Yeah.
And of course, publishers also have their backlist, and backlist is a big part of children's publishing. And if you were pulling business out of China, you'd have to pull your backlist printing out of China as well. So it would be a big operation. My feeling is publishers are probably going to try out other options and see how they work, but they're not going to move out of China unless they really have to. But I don't know. I mean, that's just something, again, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's true. I can see that also a lot of publishers, they are using a lot of the US printers. And some of the books that I have seen, they are very nice. They have been able to maintain that price, that 19 or 17, 99,
Right.
right? So that's interesting because the quality is good, the bonding, everything. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with that. And let's see, another question is, this is a question that was not in the list, but I'm curious to know your thoughts in the children's books. Awards. What are awards and how important they are? Because sometimes you get an award and it's sophisticated that it sounds, but that doesn't mean that you're going to generate sales. At least I'm talking in Brazil. In Brazil, it works two ways. You can get this amazing, award that may or not transform into good amount of sales. And on the other hand, I have dear friends that they say with all their heart, they say, forget about the award. A hug of a child is, $1 million worth than the award, because they go to the schools and they see the reaction of the kids and oh, I love your book, oh, this is so nice, and that's like, so, oh, that's fine. but what are your thoughts?
Right. I mean, the hug of a child is one of the satisfactions of working in our business, but we also need an income in order to produce books and get them out to those children. So you can't ignore the fact that we need to sell books. And I don't, this is something you would have to answer for your own market in terms of what actually has an impact. In the United States, the Newbery and the Caldecott are the awards that make the most immediate difference in sales of a book.
Oh, they do.
They will actually, when they're announced, there will be an immediate jump in orders,
Wow.
and the publishers will probably have to go back to print and do a new printing. The jump probably isn't as big as it used to be back, even just a few years ago. The Today Show would have the Caldecott and the Newbery medalist on the show. And so people all across the country would see that there was this new big children's award. And they've stopped doing that. And so the immediate impact from what I've read is not as great. But there still is an impact, because any library that either missed out on one of those big award winners or had only ordered a couple of copies, they're going to go back and they're going to order more copies. When it comes to other awards, the big library awards like the Coretta Scott King Awards and the Printz Award and the Pure Belle Pré and so on, those have less of an immediate impact, but I think they help keep books in the market. They support your backlist sales. So it's definitely good to get those awards. Publishers use the awards when they're received as part of their marketing. So they fold that into their marketing process. And that helps a lot with ongoing and continued promotion. National Book Award also is an award that has an impact, but definitely the various ALA and ALSC awards are the ones that we pay the most attention to in children's books.
Yeah, so then basically similar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you were going to say something else? I interrupt.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, there are lots of other end of the year lists and recognitions, and publishers use those as part of their marketing. There's the National Science Teachers Association, NSTA, gives an annual list of recommended trade books that deal with science topics as one example, and there are lots of other like that. And it may not have an immediate measurable impact on the sales of a book that's in that list, but the fact that it's in that list tells the publisher, okay, this is a book that we can continue to promote, and we'll use this recognition as part of our efforts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that gives you, the same here, then pretty much the same. An award here depends on which is the title of it, will generate sales, and another award may not necessarily. It's just nice. It's another sticker that you can put on the book, and it's a promotional moment, but yeah, it depends as well. So yeah, we're similar on that one. And then one question that was on the list is, how do you see social media impacting the demand for children's books as more kids favor social media versus reading?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, there are different aspects to social media, and I'm not sure that kids necessarily are pulled more away from books by social media than they are by television or video games or other kinds of activities. Kids have always had other things going on in their lives than books. And with every generation, we sort of worry that, this is what's going to kill reading. TV is going to kill reading. Now social media is going to kill reading. But there's always been, for at least in the US, there's been this recognition that outside of sales to schools, there's this market of the kids who are the readers, who do a lot of reading on their own, and they still do, and there are kids like that today, and there hopefully will continue to be. And you run across them in different settings, but they're definitely still out there, and they're still reading, and they're driving some of the demand for books. So I guess I would say social media, in the sense of it distracting kids from reading, I'm not too concerned about that, because the kids who are reading, they're going to continue to read. Is it a problem that a lot of kids aren't reading? Well, a lot of kids a lot of adults have always not been readers. I
That's
don't know that that's killed publishing. So, you know, we would like to have more people reading, and we can have learned conversations and debates about how to bring that about. That's something publishing is always talking about. How can we get more readers? But
educating the readers, basically, educating the adults too. So we have like around 9 minutes, and I want to use this space and opportunity for you telling us like 4 books that we can read, because we're still at home and it's always good to add to the list. And we love to see your book in that list, and show us the cover, the book cover of that book as well.
Sure. So here's my book.
Oh, nice. Okay. Can you lift it a little bit more higher? There you go. Oh, nice. Okay, now I see the cover. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This has been out on the market for a while, so I'm actually just starting doing what I call the virtual 4th edition, and I'm going to be posting that on my website as I go along. So far, nice. I've only done 1 chapter. I'm doing updates to the chapters that just need a little bit of updates. There are a couple of chapters I can see ahead. I'm going to have to do either a complete revision or actually write a new chapter. I'm considering writing a chapter on social media and its role in publishing today, for example. In terms of other books, I'm actually not going to mention a book specifically, but the Hornbook magazine, which is the only one of the children's magazines that I subscribe to in print, because I just love having it to page through. Nice. The other periodicals like Publishers Weekly and School Library Journal and Book List, I'll look at their articles online. But the Hornbook, I really like to have on hand so that I can read it. In terms of books that I'm reading, I've been having a hard time focusing, and I have not been reading as much as I ordinarily do. So I'm just going to say that I'm trying to keep up with things by reading in the Hornbook. I'm actually a couple of issues behind, and I recommend the Hornbook, which is available. They've made all their content available for free during the course of the pandemic. I would recommend the Hornbook as a resource to everybody.
Great. Great.
And I'm reading in the New Yorker to keep track of what's going on in my world. And other than that, you know, I have not been doing as much reading as I usually do. So I can't give you any new titles that I've read because they're sitting at the library waiting for me to pick them up.
That's true.
When the library reopens.
That's true.
And I have not adapted. I have not adapted my habits to read ebooks. I've always made a practice, since I spend so much time on the computer, of not reading ebooks, and I haven't changed that. So I'm catching up with some books on and off when I can manage it, and I've just got those books waiting for me at the library.
Well, let me tell you, your book looks amazing. I want to get that book when I can, when I will be available to purchase that book, I will do so. And the first impression it gave me, it was like, oh my gosh, that's like a yellow page book. Is that what it's called, the yellow book page? Like, I thought, that's so much of content. How many pages are there in that book, Harold, in your book?
They're about 300 pages.
Oh, 300 pages. It looks super rich. Yeah. It looks super rich of content. That's great. That's great. So you want to leave us with some projects coming soon? Do you want to share any projects? Are you going to be participating in SBCWI? Is that correct?
SBCWI. Yeah. So yes, actually, the SBCWI has turned their big summer conference, which is usually held in Los Angeles.
Yes.
They've turned it into an online event, and I will be participating from afar, doing career consultations as you know, an aspect of the event. There's also going to be these wonderful looking panel discussions, conversations
think you froze. Are you there? Yeah, you're coming back.
Am I back? Yeah. Emma's going to be doing career consultations too.
Nice, nice.
So there's going to be a lot going on at that event. It's not expensive just for the programming part of it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I saw it. Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. I just jumped on it because I said, oh my gosh, it's a great opportunity. So, and with that price, it was amazing. It's a great community as well. I followed that community, and right now they're having a lot of online also access to workshops and interviews, and it's really nice. And another thing you want to share with us? Any
sure.
secret
Let
that
me
you can tell us?
right. Let me just wrap that up with just another note that Deborah Halverson, who's on the call, Emma has posted that she's doing a session at the conference.
Wow,
So that's great.
That's great. That's great.
I didn't know that. I'll have to look it up and see what she's doing. That's great.
Fabulous.
I guess my closing words are, you know, we're in a really difficult time right now, and in the midst, all that we can do is what we can, and there are going to be days when we're not going to get much done, and there are going to be days that something good will happen, and that's, you know, I'm trying not to beat myself up when I don't get as much done as I wish I could, and I just want to say that to all of you. Just do what you can. Be with the people you can be, and just we'll get through this.
Great. Thank you so much. With that thought, we end closing our part 2. Hoping, you know, we chat again sometime. Thank you so much to everyone that was here this morning with us. All the best to everyone. Take care, everybody. And Harold, thank you so much. In Brazil, we go like this. It's like a little shape of a heart. We are sending you our love from here.
Thank you for inviting me to do this. And Emma and Deborah, thank you for your comments in the chat. It was great having you here, and great having the other folks sitting in. And I hope we'll be seeing each other on the other side of this in person, and that it will be soon. But we'll just have to see. So take care, everybody. Bye-bye.